I've got images. I got that, which is a piece of artwork from Patrick Thomas, I think his name is. I got these little grid color things, which I've got from the internet. I've got this image, which I've manipulated and done a glitch art thing in Photoshop. I've got this photograph with a color picker, and I've got these Pantone things here. So there's 7 different multiple ways of color picking artwork into your work. Do not ever click on this, go in there and pick colors like this. Okay? Do not ever go into this little plethora of colors and just pick colors that you think best fit. Because what will happen is you won't get balanced colors. So colors are really important in graphic design. If you don't figure that out, and if you use primary colors like these here, these are all primary colors. Okay, these are the ones you do not use. If you use this, you are also using primary colors. What you need to do is, if you're going to use these swatch colors, that's what they're called. So if you click on one, it will open up and it will give you a registration for that color. That is the registration of that color. So if you're working in graphic design in a company, each piece of artwork that you produce, say it's a logo, will have a specific CMYK reg color. If you get that wrong, and I am recording this, if you get that wrong, then you could put your client's brand in jeopardy, and you could sort of conflict with what they're trying to say. So it's really, really important that you understand that. Okay. If you also click on here, you have got all these what they're called Pantone colors. So if I go through here and go through color book, these are the ones you need to use as a graphic designer. So years ago, when I was a student, when I was working in the industry, the Pantone will give me a book with colors, and we'll go through which colors will work well. Now, obviously, with digital, you can just literally pick out colors from here. Okay, so there's a lot to this, folks. So if I go to, where's it gone again? Pantone. I've lost it now. So if I go to color book, so it's in color book, and these are your basic colors. So some are coated, some are uncoated. Do you know what that means? So basically, if it's coated, it means it's for something like a glossy book. If it's uncoated, it might be like for a matte book. So if you're designing, like maybe if you ask the client, your magazine, do you want it matte? Then you put your colors as uncoated, and when you press that, what will happen is a range of color palettes will pop up. All right, so those are your professional color palettes that you use. There's loads, there's hundreds, and if you click on each one, it will give you a definition of that color. And what it will also do is put it in your swatch library. And there's my color. Okay, it's Pantone. So there's a registration, which is Pantone 154 -1U. That's a code. That's a code for the printers. When you send work to a commercial printer, the printer recognizes that code. If you do not put that code in, and you pick a color from the little thing there, from this little thing here, it won't be the most accurate blue that it's picking. Very important. Okay, principles of graphic design, principles of color, principles of graphic design. Okay, you do not just pick random colors in the industry. You have to be specific. If you are creating corporate identities like Coca-Cola or Citibank or Barclays, they have all got a specific color they use, and that is the reg that it comes with. Okay, very important. So that's that. Okay, that. If I click on here, you've got other things such as like temperature colors, like soft, warm. So if you're designing something like a little bit less sort of kind of less, you want it to be a specific tone, you can also get these batch colors. All right, and those there are basically those. Okay, those are from the internet. I've just picked them out. Now, if you for example your client says, Mo or whoever, I really like these palettes of colors, and they give you one of these, and they say, I've seen this on the internet and I really like this, and you know it's an image, then what I would do if I was you is select this. So go onto one of these, color pick it with this color picker, and then drop your colors in your swatch. So if you're doing something for a client, you would need to pick out all these colors like that and put them in here. It's a lot of work, to be honest. Sometimes you have to set all this stuff up before you do so. And then once you've got your colors, you put them in here. And each one of those is the color match of that image. Now that also depends on your screen and the way you configure your screen. So for example, on a PC, you might have set your screen in a certain way. And that color might not be a true reflection of the color. So my advice to you is, when if you ever do stuff like this, someone ever gives you something like that, is just try to direct them to the color book and say, look, here's a range here. Maybe you should use these. 99% of the time, they'll agree with you because you're the professional. Okay. So so once you've got your colors, you can use that. Okay. So for these images, I have sort of color picked from here. So you can also color pick from image. So for example, this is a photograph, and photographs, images have a color balance. So like, for example, if you take a photograph today of this environment and you pick the sky, you pick a building, you pick the grass, those colors are balanced to this environment. So say, for example, you're designing something for the bull ring, and you know the bull ring's an inner city center, and most of the area is industrial. If you photograph things around it and then color pick it from that, you will get a better true reflection of what you're designing. So if you ever look at anything to do with the bull ring or any sort of Birmingham touristy stuff, there's always that brummy color palette: browns, dark blues, greys, which signifies kind of industrial kind of look. Okay, so what you can do is you can color pick it from this as well. But what you would do is you pick a range. So you pick the blue, drop it in there. You would pick, so I pick that blue. Then you would pick a darker spot like here. So you pick a range of colors from that image. So again, if I drop that in there, pick another one, maybe here, which is a bit lighter. Drop that in as well. So these colors are balanced. Then they're less not conflicting with each other. How I also know that is if I go to Adobe Cooler. Anyone heard of Adobe Cooler? No. So if I go to Adobe Color, it used to be called Adobe Color. So this is Adobe's color wheel, and this also gives me a balanced color as well. And again, as a designer, you should have this in your palette when you're working. And what this does is it allows you to get a complement. So these are like analog colors, monographic colors, tridadic colors. So these are within the wheel. They give you the most balanced range of colors. So you could take a screen grab of that. You could take the registration of those, and you can use those within your artwork. Always use these things, folks. As the best designers, use this. You got to think of about 5-6 different principles. You got to think about your color, and you got to use your color in the right format. You got to think about your shape and your form, and whether that's in balance. So last week's principles. And if all these things are in balance, then obviously your artistic skills will come through, but all these other things will help your design to just lift. All right, and if you constantly think about these things while you're designing, it will look correct. Okay, so you can use this as a method as well. You can download an app for this and put it in your phone, and I've seen people do that, and just sort of look at it that way as well. It's a lot more time consuming because these give you these registrations. So for example, if I copy that one, so if I copy that reg there and go into one of these and put this registration number, I think is in there. What is it in there? Spot color. No, it's not giving me a reg. There is you can put a registration in and find it that way, but you can also just take the numbers. See these numbers? 243, and just put them in here. All right, and then it'll give you the true color. That's really important you do that, especially when you're working on commercial clients. So you can color pick from photographs. You can color pick from these swatches, or like what I would do as well, because you're learning, is you've looked at these artists, color pick from artists that have already made stuff like this, and essentially what you're doing is you're putting it in here. You can put them in folders. So if you create a folder and call it Patrick Thomas, I think his name is. Which one of the colors that he uses? Yeah, just put the colors he's using. So if you've researched into Patrick Thomas, then color pick his colors from his artwork, drop it into that folder, just drag and drop into there. And just keep doing that till you've got the colors. like that. All right, so I'm just going to color pick these colors, this blue. And these are the colors this designer's used. There's no harm. You can't. There's no reason. There's no reason why you can't use these. Okay. And I'll get one more color. So maybe this black as well. And that's not a black. It's a grey. Really, weirdly enough, it's not really a true black. So if I put those are the colors he's used. Now I've got those. Now I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to use his colors, and I've got my reference next to me. I've got all this stuff as well. So I'm going to go to my symbols now. And I'm going to start colorizing them. So I keep a set black and white. And then, you know, like these ones, for example, I might start colorizing them. And because I've selected, you might want to group these things. And because I've selected specific colors, I'm only going to use these. All right, I'm only going to use these. And because I've got my research next to me, I can see that it's linked to that. And, you know, the colors are nice. Those are nice colors, to tell you the truth. They're not just picked randomly. And they have a bit of measured approach to them as well. So again, I might select these and just change them to whatever color I wish. All right, it's not just clicking on that, picking anything. You know, that's, you know, I wouldn't do that. And those are, you know, because they have a balance, a certain tone to them all. You can see they link to each other better, as opposed to me just clicking on that, picking a blue, or I'll show you what I mean. So if I click on that one and I select this color. If I click on that one, click on this blue. If I click on that one, no, it's just, you know, I know as a designer that you are picking standard preset colors. I know that by looking at those. I can tell from a mile away, and most professional designers working in graphics will be able to, because we see this, you know, after decades of looking at this palette doesn't change. So when designers just stick to that little palette, you can tell. You can really, really tell that person hasn't really considered color. All right, so that's quite cool. Okay, so those are the colors. You can tell the difference between the top line and the bottom line. All right, so that's colors. Gradients, I need to talk to. So you want to add gradients, and maybe do a line at a time. So if I go to this one, ungroup it, and I'll show you multiple ways of creating gradients. So again, it's color. So if you click on that, go in here and select a gradient, it'll add a gradient. Nothing that special. If you go to your gradients tab, which is located there, you can adjust the color balance of your gradient. You can change the angle of it like this. So you can put -60 maybe, for example. And again, because the preset colors, you know, it's not looking great. But if I grab those colors that I picked from the artist, like that blue, I can just drop it in like this. All right, and what you'll get is a better reflection of what you're trying to achieve. These little anchors allow you to move it around. All right, so those colors are more in line with this. And once you've got that, you can select a different element, use your color picker and pick that color from the other element. You can select another one like this, color pick it like that, select another one, color pick it like that. I don't particularly like this gradient effect, and I don't think it's very good personally. This gradient that I've used and this technique. There is a better technique which I'll show you. So if I move to the next one, if I select another element, ungroup that one again. Again, I'm recording this, so you know I'll quicken it up and put it on YouTube or something. So if I select that one, this one, I'm going to select this icon here. And what this does is it gives me a range. So if I select now this color, and then if I click here, no, sorry, what have I done? I've not done that right. So if I click on that one, I click here, and then I click here, select a color, select that point again, select a different color. What you notice is the color is a lot more balanced. These points are movable. You can move them around like this. And what you get is a real nice finish of color. You can select that point. I'm going to select that green. Now look at that. That's really nice. You can line them up as well. So if you click on this line, it'll align them. So if you click on that one, to that one, to that one. Now if you make a comparison between, so if I select that now, if I select that one and then click on that, sorry, if I select that one, and then click on that, and then select that one again. Click on that. Look at that. That's much nicer in terms of visual. Now, if I compare that one to that one, can you see the difference?
Yeah.
It's much nicer, isn't it? Looks really, really nice. The gradient looks much more crisp. That doesn't look as crisp. So this is the old way of doing it in Illustrator. I wouldn't recommend you to do that anymore, Tatron. I would recommend you to do that, and you'll get a real nice finish. The third way, there's another way. There's like multiple ways for everything, isn't there? So if I select this one again, ungroup it, select another section. This time I'm going to use a mesh tool, this one here. If I click here and select a color, all right, and I click here again, I select another color. Now this will give me a path of color. And what I can do within this is I can adjust the points like so. Okay, so think about your PlayStation logo, things like that. PlayStation was created like this with a mesh curve like this. And then once you've got that, so say you got that there, you've got that there. It gives you a nice finish to take to it. It gives you like an indent into it. But the only thing is, if you stretch it, you will lose that tone of color. You'll need to go to Object and either rasterize, expand it. All right, so that's another way you can add gradients into your object. So yeah, so that's that. Okay, multiple ways of adding color. Just as a tip, please don't click on this and just use colors from here. There is also web colors. These things here, if you do web design, again, don't use that, because what you do is when you do this kind of thing and you say okay to that, which is what all of you've been doing, because I've noticed what you've been doing, and then when you click on that, you click on this, you pick a color, and then maybe if I click on that line, again, if I without looking at color, without my wheel, etc., and I pick random colors, yeah, the balance sometimes doesn't look quite right. That looks okay, but sometimes the balance doesn't look quite accurate. Okay, so what I would like you, and when you put these on a background, like a block background, so if I put a block background, a black background maybe, like that, object arrange, center back, oops, sorry, object arrange, center back, you notice that these things look quite nice. You could fade it in, so if I set, yeah, standing out more, just looks nice, like that one there, for example. The gradient works well, like if you're doing this, let me show you. So if I go back to this one, if I know, let me go to another one. So there's one here somewhere, isn't there? So if I select that one and I go to gradient, so this one works well for this, and I go and I select this color. So if you're doing this kind of thing, it works really well. And if I move that out, so the black is more visible, and if I select the next one and pick that color, see, with a bit of color, these things do come alive. So if I select that one and I pick that color, you might need to change the angles around, but it creates, you can blend it into the background, and then that looks quite nice as well. But that one will be used, then that one there is quite useful, that one there. Okay, so what I would like you guys to do is copy your symbols into another document. Maybe put these things in as well, like how I've done. So when you screen grab it, put it in your way. I can clearly see that you've thought about color. And then once you've done those, I will show you how to make these things as well, these circular things as well. Okay. So have a go. You got about 40 minutes. Got about 40 minutes.